Fort Pierce, Florida. Thanks so much. Joining us now, trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, hello to you. Let's start here with the acceptance of arguments from these disinterested parties. Briefs are one thing, right? Submitting it on paper, but spending hours in the courtroom listening to these arguments. What is, let's say, the generous argument for allowing these disinterested parties to speak?
This is a unique matter. Well, it's important to remember the fact that, as you stated, third parties are allowed to speak in front of the judge on this matter, and they're not involved in any way. And this is, in a lot of cases, very unheard of. So here they are, not a party to the lawsuit, but getting in front of the judge and arguing the cases and the merit of the cases. And usually in these types of cases, they are given to a magistrate judge. A magistrate judge is not a judge who's appointed by life, but is a judge that overhears these pretrial matters in regards to this case. But Judge Cannon decided to hear this case herself and spend hours rather than rule on the paper in this matter.
Oh, so as we heard from Evan, on Monday, they'll get into the question of a gag order for former President Trump, specifically on law enforcement and how his discussion of the search of Mar-a-Lago could affect or endanger law enforcement. What do you think the chances are here for that?
Well, ultimately, it will be up to the judge to make a determination on the facts and the evidence, but most likely, the way the case is going, I do not see the judge enforcing a gag order. So it's important to remember why they want a gag order. Trump has made allegations the fact that they were there to shoot and kill him. But it's important to remember that that has been debuffed, the fact that that was not the case in this matter. But ultimately, the judge will make a determination, but most likely, the gag order will not happen.
What is the impact of, actually two questions here. If the judge sides with those who believe that Jack Smith was unlawfully appointed as special prosecutor, what does that mean for this case moving forward? And then the second question here, what does that mean for the January 6th case in which he is also the special prosecutor in the D.C. courts?
Potentially dead in the water. So these are serious allegations. They are making the allegations that the special counsel did not have the authority to bring this. So what does that mean? That means the grand jury was not valid. The grand jury, based on evidence that was presented to them, believed that Trump should be charged with crimes. Those were 37 counts in this case. So basically invalidating that and potentially invalidating the other grand jury if he did not have the authority to act as special counsel. But it's also important to remember that there are case law, United States versus Nixon, that support the fact that there should be a special counsel. There was also the Robert Mueller investigation, in fact, that he was a special counsel, and there was case law on that to support the fact that he should be appointed and did, in fact, have the authority. So if the judge rules against him, definitely see appeals on this, but no matter what, I could see this issue definitely going up to the Supreme Court.
There was also a similar argument from Hunter Biden's attorneys and David Weiss, and the special prosecutor in his case that we watched a couple of weeks ago. Let me move to one other element here. Steve Bannon has asked the Supreme Court to delay his having to go to prison. July 1st is the date he's supposed to show. Is there any reason to expect there'd be anything different here than we saw for Peter Navarro, in which the Supreme Court did not delay it, that he's going to get the same treatment that Navarro got?
You would think that he would get the same treatment based on the law, but you never know. Ultimately, that will be up to the Supreme Court based on the facts and evidence presented to them. But I see it unlikely and see him reporting to jail on July 1st.
All right. Nevada, a judge there has dismissed charges against several fake electors, Trump fake electors. The judge said that the case was filed in the wrong jurisdiction. The Nevada AG says that the judge has it wrong here. Who's right? Explain what the issue is here.
So according to the defense, this case is dead in the waters. And what does that mean? That means that the they brought it in the wrong venue. So when you bring a case, you can decide where it's going to be brought. The allegations are that it was brought in the wrong county in the case. And also, defense argues that because of statute of limitations, that means the statute of limitations is how long you have in order to bring a case. According to the defense, the statute of limitations is blown. In other words, there's no way to bring this case, and it's not going to happen. However, on the other side, they say that the judge got it all wrong, that they will appeal the judge's decision, and that will go to the appellate court. And based on the facts and evidence, the appellate court will make a determination on whether, in fact, the case was in the right venue, in the right county, or not.
Kelly Hyman helping us understand all of it. Thanks so much.
The U.S. is worried that a war between Israel and Hezbollah could overwhelm the Iron Dome. What